In September 1965, the ground in Punjab began to shake. Pakistan had deployed its first armored division across the border, led by American-made M48 Patton tanks. These were 46-ton beasts of steel and heavy artillery, widely considered the most advanced, indestructible war machines on the planet. The strategy relied on sheer momentum. If this iron wave punched through the village of Asal Uttar, they'd cut the highway connecting Amritsar to Jalandhar. That single move would slice off a massive section of Punjab, leaving the heartland exposed. The primary defense line guarding that highway consisted of the local landscape, tall, swaying sugarcane fields and dense patches of green cotton. Hiding within those stalks was the Indian Army's answer to the Patton, an open-air Willys Jeep fitted with a single 106mm recoilless gun. Sitting exposed in the back of that Jeep was a 32-year-old soldier from a small village in Uttar Pradesh. He was the son of a tailor. His name was Company Quartermaster Havildar Abdul Hamid. One man in a canvas-topped Jeep managed to dismantle an entire armored division, operating with discipline that began long before he wore a uniform. Abdul Hamid grew up far from any battlefield, in the village of Damupur. His father ran a quiet tailor shop, stitching clothes to feed a family of 8, while his son dreamed of a life in uniform. While Hamid helped with the needle and thread, his physical presence grew to fit his ambitions. He developed a towering 6'3" frame, built by spending hours every day in the village akhada, the traditional mud wrestling pits. That strength was paired with a precise eye. Using a simple wooden slingshot, Hamid could pick off tiny targets deep in the mango orchards, a skill he once used to defend local farmers from village bullies with nothing but a bamboo stick. That village life was replaced by the brutal reality of the 1962 Sino-Indian War. Hamid was thrust 14,000 feet up into the Himalayas, fighting in sub-zero temperatures across a landscape of jagged rock and ice. During a heavy enemy assault, Hamid was wounded and separated from his unit. He survived by crawling 15 kilometers across the frozen ground on his elbows and knees to reach safety. Surviving that ordeal changed him. The warmth of his village gave him his physical strength, but the ice of the mountains had removed his fear of death. In 1965, Hamid was assigned to the 106mm recoilless gun. It was a powerful anti-tank weapon, but it carried a massive risk. Every shot released a backblast of fire and smoke that signaled the Jeep's exact position to the enemy. Survival depended on shooting and scooting, firing a single heavy shell and immediately driving the Jeep to a new position before tanks could return fire. But speed wasn't enough. On the night of September 9th, the Indian Army deployed a different kind of weapon. They breached the local irrigation canals, deliberately flooding the sugarcane and cotton fields surrounding Asal Uttar. By morning, the dry soil had turned into a swamp. As the 46-ton Pattons rolled forward, their weight caused the treads to sink deep into the mud, slowing the entire armored column to a crawl. Hamid used the tall stalks to mask his Jeep's movements, circling the immobile tanks. He ignored their thick front plates and focused on the vulnerable side armor. Over 2 days, he struck 4 tanks this way, vanishing back into the crops after every hit. The Indian defense had effectively turned the terrain into its most potent weapon, using the mud of Punjab to strip away the enemy's mobility. On the morning of September 10th, the situation intensified. Intense Pakistani shelling had set the fields on fire. The green canopy was replaced by swirling black smoke, leaving Hamid's position increasingly exposed. After destroying 3 more tanks, Hamid realized the Jeep was a stationary target. He ordered his driver and loader to take cover in the nearby trenches, choosing to operate the gun entirely on his own. As he repositioned the Jeep, an 8th Patton tank emerged from the smoke, barely 100 meters away. There was no time for a second shot. Both the tank commander and the tailor's son pulled their triggers at the exact same moment. Hamid's shell tore through the Patton, destroying his 8th target of the battle. Simultaneously, the tank's 90mm shell struck the Willys Jeep. Abdul Hamid died in that explosion, but his final shot broke the momentum of the advance. Pakistani crews bogged down in the mud and, fearing the hidden guns, abandoned their vehicles and retreated. They left behind a graveyard of 97 tanks, a landscape the locals would eventually call Patton Nagar. For his actions at Asal Uttar, Abdul Hamid was posthumously awarded the Param Vir Chakra, India's highest honor for bravery in the face of the enemy. Abdul Hamid's legacy is etched into that landscape, where 97 tanks were brought to a halt. He demonstrated that even the most sophisticated machinery has a limit, and that a tailor's son from Vimupur had stitched a defense that no iron wave could break.